Elevation Nation, we have an incredible guest for you today. Someone who was in the Big Four family with us, but then chose a different route for her career and her business. Christy Bowie, welcome to Elevation Nation. We are so excited to welcome you into our community and learn a little bit more about yourself.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you guys.
Always excited when a new elevator gets introduced by another elevator. Like that's something powerful. That's something amazing. And Christy, it's so good to meet you. We're very excited to welcome you to the nation. So you went to Texas A&M. Did you grow up in Texas?
I did, yes. Texas, born, raised, still here. It's probably going to be home for most of my life.
Fair enough. Okay, I've been to Texas a couple times. Once Austin, I've been to San Antonio. I haven't been to Dallas, though. But I'm watching a great show, Landman. I know we were talking before. That's all Texas right there. And it's got me in my Texas feels, I will say. So it's just serendipity that we're getting to welcome you to the nation today.
There you go.
Well, Christy, I mean, we start every podcast off the exact same way. It's pretty basic. It is Elevation Nation. We got to hear your elevator pitch. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah. So my background, as was kind of alluded to, is I did start in the Big Four. At A&M, I did get my master's degree in accounting and tax, and that was really something I was super interested in. I worked in the Big Four for, I think, a few years. Obviously, being in the Big Four in 2020 was a weird thing. A lot was going on, and I decided to take a shift in my career. I then moved into more of a financial planning role at a firm that took the landscape of small business owners, helped them understand taxes, and then wealth building on top of that. I spent a few years there, and then I finally decided that I had this passion for making everything that, I'm sure you guys do on a daily basis that feels only accessible to these big companies. I just said, you know what? I want these everyday entrepreneurs, especially the ones who I saw start in 2020 and kind of take the leap and say, I need to make something for myself happen. I just felt that it was so needed for those people to have the level of support that I was providing to companies where it didn't always seem accessible. Based on those principles that I kind of learned from my Big Four time, as well as in the financial planning world, I started my own firm really targeted towards that level of entrepreneur where they are growing in their business, but they are not at the level where, they need to or can work with one of the large, well-established firms. And I think what really sets me apart is I have a process that not only do I set for my clients, but I'm also going through it with them at the same time. We can literally talk business owner to business owner about, oh man, it was really hard hiring that person, or, whatever that looks like. And so I've really taken my experience in my start of my career into really helping smaller business owners.
It resonates a lot with us because Parker and I, we would always joke, we had all these incredible entrepreneurs coming on Elevation Nation, many of them further ahead than us in their entrepreneurial careers. But when you're speaking the same language and there's almost this unwritten brotherhood and sisterhood amongst entrepreneurs of like, I know the real struggles that you're going through, to your point, hiring, figuring out just the basic simple things of how to run a company across the gambit is difficult. And I think by you being in that same position, it helps you be more authentic with your clients and with your counterparts. And that's obviously something Parker and I care a lot about. So I want to save authenticity for the end because that's a huge theme that we're obsessing with right now. But before we get into that, obviously throwing no shade at the Big Four, Parker and I certainly still work there and love our jobs. I want to ask you, what were some of the best points or concepts that you learned in your days at the Big Four, and then maybe what was something that you really found difficult that then made you take the leap?
Honestly, I was having this conversation with one of my employees the other day, and there's a trend we can see in our clients who has worked in the corporate world and who hasn't. And if there's one thing that I could say that I learned was just like work ethic, to be honest, like how to be a good worker, and I know these are little things to people like you and I, but I can truly see a difference, like how to respond to emails, period, like how to respond quickly and professionally. And just like little things that, taught me how to research things before asking somebody about it. I can't imagine going to someone above me and them being like, well, look at the prior work papers. What did they say? And so learning how to think for myself and just being a good employee truly set me up for the work ethic and the foundation of my career. I think that's the biggest thing.
I mean, I think among all of the specialties that people have in Big Four and just corporate America in general, the people skills matter so much more. And it's an incredible place to learn about how to be not only a good human in the business world, but how you can be an effective human in the business world, utilizing those relationship skills, those communication skills, organizational, critical thinking skills. And those are some of the most important skills, let alone, well, let's say last 5, 10, 100 years are very important. But Sam and I believe that they're going to become even more important as AI technology is going to probably replace a lot of what we've traditionally done as humans in corporate America. And so, Christy, I agree with you, and I know Sam agrees with you too.
I'm shaking my head because, Parker, we just had this conversation where, Christy, we have obviously tons of friends now that are just entrepreneurs, and that's where they started. They went to startups or they started their own thing right out of school. No shade to all you guys listening. I love you. But Parker and I can tell right from the jump whether they were to your point, in the corporate world or not, just one, based on how they respond, but two, based on how long it takes them to respond. Like being in consulting in the Big Four, I can't imagine letting an email sit for more than one day and not respond. Like, you just have to respond and say, like, at least I got this. I'm working on it. And we have buddies that we do, some side things with that, like, it'll be weeks. And I'm like, how is this not bothering you? It's bothering me, and it's not even my response. Like, there's just this different lens that I think we respond in the business world to.
A tiny little thing that I was saying the other day is if somebody replies all to emails, like if you know to reply all to emails, like just the littlest things, because I do not want to have to loop back in the people who I want to be involved every single time. Like, I know that's such a small thing, but it tells me a lot about how you operate as a team, right? Are you keeping everybody who needs to be in the loop? Are you even thinking about that? And so those little skills were just things that I picked up. And I personally think that I think everybody could do well having some sort of corporate job before going to entrepreneurship. I think it's maybe a little unpopular. I'm not shading anybody who decided to go straight into entrepreneurship, but those little things, yes, I learned, tax and accounting skills, but to be honest, those are not the things that have served me well in my career from my corporate life.
That's really interesting. I mean, you could be the best accounting or tax professional, but if you don't know how to maintain a relationship, let alone sell someone on your services, you could be the best at the technical stuff, but it's not going to get you anywhere.
You know what? My clients don't actually know how good I am at what I do. And I say that all the time. Like, because the point is they hire me because they don't know. Like, I mean, obviously, like, I'm good at what I do. Like, I promise you. But what they know is how I make them feel. Do I make them feel supported? Do I make them feel important? Do I make them feel seen? And that's pretty much it.
That's such a good point. So, like, are you working with like how small of entrepreneurs are we talking about? How big of entrepreneur are we talking about? Are they people in Texas? Are they people over the globe? Like, let's get into it a little bit.
Yeah, so I actually specialize in service-based businesses in the United States. Typically, I mean, I have started putting out digital resources even to be accessible to literally the person who said, I want to start an Etsy shop out of my house, right? Like, the point of this is to make the knowledge accessible to anybody. And no, it's not going to be talking to me, but it's going to be a template that I've created based on my experiences. So we have everything from that all the way up to, I do work with a couple clients who are probably verging on, 1.5 to 2 million in revenue this year. So nothing huge, but definitely enough, money to work with and maintain and do a lot of things with.
I already tried, Parker. I'm trying to get Christy to take us on as a client. We might be too small. I know exactly how your brain's working here, Parks. I was thinking the same thing. But one day we will be big enough for you, Christy. And I think it's incredible, to your point of like, your clients love you because of how you make them feel. And I think back a little bit to some of the skills that we learned, and what we were just talking about in the corporate world is our clients have good relationships with us when we can make them feel seen, heard, valued, understood. And sometimes, in consulting, we joke that we're therapists, part of our job. The clients are complaining about how things are done in their company, and like, you have to listen and digest that. And so I think it's really interesting that that's what you emphasize as part of your business. And I think that goes back to something Parker and I love, which is this authentic intelligence piece. That right now we have a world where AI and technology is taking many of these technical hard skills that I know when I was in school, they told me to learn. They were like, Sam, I remember my dad telling me in high school, big data analytics, that's the future. That's where jobs will be. And he was right. But I think he was about 5 years too late. So now when you come out of school, if you're still just learning big data, like, AI is doing all that for us now. All that visualization is done. Same with coding. Some of these skills that we thought were going to be the gold mine to have a very long and successful career, I'm not so certain that's going to be the case anymore. And so I lean back to this new phrase we have, authentic intelligence, which sounds like is at the core of what you do, just breeding authenticity in relationships.
Yeah. And I would even say, hearing you talk about that, I have basically a motto in my business that I say, you can make any decision you want, but it has to be informed. And I say that to my clients all the time. And one thing that I think we can leverage AI for very well is, tell me the quote unquote right decision. It can tell you, on a mathematical model, which is the right thing to do for your business, but it cannot tell you that's going to add 25 hours of work to your plate. You're not going to be able to spend time with your family and your kid, and you're not going to enjoy your life, right? Those are the components that, especially the level of business owner that I'm working with is, you can't make those decisions simply based on numbers and data. As a business owner, yes, we need to be informed by what they are, but I think so many people are starting to use these tools to tell them what to do. And I think that's where we're in a slippery slope of like, use it to be informed, but it's not the end all be all. It's just a step in the decision-making process.
I mean, it's such a crazy conversation, and it's going to make lives so much easier. It's going to help businesses thrive and understand and learn and develop in ways that we never thought. But I also think, to your point, there's a lot of people, and I will say firsthand myself as well, and use it as a single source of truth because it feels as if it is giving me the right answer. And I keep going, and it's like, oh, wait, there's this source here, there's this here. And it gets to the point where I'm like, wait, okay, great. I need to take this information and then go do something with it.
Yes.
Right? Like, you could tell me the best answer, ChatGPT or AI, whatever you're using, but now I got to go do something with that.
One thing I've started doing is anytime it answers, I try not to ask it more technical questions, but if I do, I say like, where's your source? Where are you getting this from? Because I want to check on that.
Yeah, totally. That's very important. I think at the beginning stage, it was like, okay, actually, where are you getting this information from? And now I'm like, okay, these are getting more reliable, more credible. But it's getting to a point where I think, regardless if it replaces people's jobs, is that people are going to be relying on it more than ever, and it's going to increase. And that's why Sam and I believe in this new idea of authentic intelligence, not AI as our artificial intelligence, authentic intelligence. Because if you're building a business, whether it be in the accounting, financial services space, consultants in the corporate America like Sam and myself, or you're building a dog walking business, whatever it is, like, you're not going to have the AI when you're selling someone. You got to talk to them face to face. You got to be able to build that trust, that camaraderie, and convince. And then once you convince, then you got to manage that through. And so I think as more people rely on it, they're going to be missing that really core piece of like humanism. And they're not going to be able to lean on that as much.
Yeah. And I definitely think, one of the things I've noticed, especially in my industry and the time we're in right now, is people don't just want to hear facts. They want to hear like that you understand what led them to that. So one of the big things, like I said, my clients don't really know how great I am at my job. I am great at it, but they don't know that. They just want to be able to trust. And I don't necessarily know that, you don't have a conversation with AI and say, oh, this AI knows me, right? And one of the rules that we have at my firm, I have a whole ClickUp dashboard that's built out about all of our clients, and there's a column in it that says notes about this client. And I always want to know at least 3 things about the client that cannot be found on their tax return that tells me, I know them as a human. What is their dog's name? What are their favorite hobbies? I've actually found it really funny. I start to learn my clients' favorite restaurants because I like see where they go on business trips. I'm like, oh, I'm going to send you, a little gift card there because I see you like Chick-fil-A or something, right? So that's definitely something that I think
so
just
smart. It's so easy.
It's really easy. You pick it up.
But most people don't think about that. They don't even know to do that. It's such a good idea. It's such a great thought, and it shows how intentional, Christy, you are in just your client relationships, and I think it's so cool.
Yeah, and that's the goal, is really to take something that can be, scary and overwhelming for people and just make it a little bit more accessible and a little bit of hand holding sometimes, and just saying, we're on your side and we've got you. This isn't as overwhelming as it feels, because I do think this side of entrepreneurship for a lot of people is they say, I got into this because I want to do my thing, but I don't want to run the business. I don't want to do the accounting. They don't want to do all of that, and they need to really feel supported in it.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, because Christy, you got into this to do your thing. Financial services, accounting, right? That's what you are great at, even though you were being humble. You are great at it, and your clients know that. So I want to talk about entrepreneurship as a whole for a minute. When you came in and you said, yeah, I worked in Big Four. I know how to do this like the back of my hand. But oh my gosh, running a business has so many other layers and facets to it. It's funny because you are good at some of the things that most people absolutely despise and hate within their own business, right?
If it makes you feel any better, it's almost August right now, and I extended my tax return and haven't filed it yet. So if that makes anybody else feel better.
It does. You're making us feel more human now. That's exactly it. But I think when you took that leap of faith and left the Big Four, there was now many more things you had to do: operations, sales, marketing, which you are incredible at, coming on podcasts, building your personal brand that you've figured out over time. Did you ever face any imposter syndrome yourself when you started your own business? Do you still face it?
Still do, all the time. Yeah. I think what was hard for me was, I am in an industry where I had to quit my job and dive into this almost from nothing, because I did have some sort of non-compete in place. And so I think a lot of people, I would 10 of 10 recommend, if you can, to ease into your business and make sure you have some stream of income, because I would not advise this to anybody. My husband was in grad school and I quit my job and said, I'm going to try to start a business, and had to make money, had to make it work, because we had no other income. And so that, was very scary for me. But I do think putting myself into a situation where I was like, I know what I'm doing and I have to make it work. While I wouldn't recommend it, that's, I had no other choice, to be honest.
So you just jumped right into it. You didn't take a book of business or acquire a book of business. It was simply, this is now the company. I have to go find my first client.
So people had started kind of planting in my head. I was very involved in some organizations where people would know I was an accountant and ask me oh, hey, do you take on clients? I was like, no, I'm with a firm. That's not really what we do. We have a very specific clientele, and I didn't bring my own clients into the firm. And so enough people started asking me that I was like, well, maybe I should. And so I definitely had people in my head, and I did quickly sign. I think it was only 2 who I quickly signed when I first left, and was like, I know I have these people lined up. And I will say the clients who I took when I was just like, I will take anyone, are not my clients now. So it wasn't like I got to start my business and say, these are the perfect clients who I want to serve and I love them. It was kind of like, I'm gonna take clients who I need right now. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of jumped in and said, we're starting from scratch and this is what we're gonna do.
And how many employees do you have in your business?
So in terms of the accounting side, I do all the taxes because I'm terrified to let anybody else touch that. And I have 1 accounting manager under me. And then I have some contractors that help me. I have an ops manager, and then I have someone who does all my socials and marketing and that kind of stuff. So we're not huge by any means, but we still reach lots and lots of people, which is fantastic.
And I'm going to ask you one more question. I'm just curious. I mean, you don't have to answer honestly or not if you don't want to share, but how many hours a week are you working on your business?
It really varies based on the time of year. I've probably worked like 5 weekends, which was unheard of before. I'm a kind of person who I like to pop in and out of work. I won't do 8 hours straight a day. So I tend to work the morning, go to a workout class, go run errands, something, and then work at night. So I should be tracking and have better numbers. I'm probably around 30 to 40 a week. On like an average week. Goes a little up during tax season, but also for me, the flexibility I have to go to a vet appointment an hour and a half away on Wednesday, and I have no worries about that, right? Like, I will just do my work at night. So probably 30 to 40, but it really varies.
The reason why I ask, and I know Sam's irking to jump in here, is I'm curious. I'm going to ask you one more question. What is the dream life that you want to live, and is this the avenue to get you there?
Yeah, I think that so I have had some part-time employees pop in and out. And I will say, for any business owner listening, I firmly believe as soon as you possibly can, hire full-time employees who will be dedicated to your business. Because I recently was able to just say, you know what? The numbers aren't necessarily supporting this, but I need somebody who's going to be on my side. She hopped in a few months ago, and my entire life has changed. And, that's when I'm starting to be able to do more things like this and advertise my business a little more and bring work on. And so I am kind of sitting here thinking, well, for a long time, I was the one doing a lot of the accounting work. And now I'm into more of the CEO role of growing the business. And so that is something that I have been thinking about, is what do I want this to look like? I don't ever want to be huge. I think, max 4 or 5 employees, maybe, if that's what this looks like. But I do want to be able to be in a little bit more of the CEO role where I'm promoting the business. I do want to scale a lot on the digital product side, because, as you guys know, that doesn't require my time every single time, we sell one of those, but also that means that I'm getting, resources out to people who don't feel ready for one-on-one accounting services, which can be a financial burden, which means, even startup businesses, very, small companies are getting this resource. So, long story short, I'm figuring it out, but definitely, for me to be in more of a CEO role as opposed to just doing the day-to-day.
It's such an honest and authentic answer, and it's one Parker and I have been struggling with, and I think that's why Parker kept diving deeper in with you, because we look up to you, and where you are with your business is we just ended our fiscal year, and Parker and I have been spending the last couple weeks not executing on anything. You're one of the few podcasts we actually are recording the next couple weeks, and we are just meeting and thinking, what do we want? What direction do we want to go? And I think when we first started this 5 years ago, we thought, wouldn't the dream be to be full-time podcasters and have a brand deal and have these huge guests on? And I don't know if I want that. Like, I love meeting new, cool entrepreneurs doing amazing things in the world. And the podcast is our avenue in which we do that. And I think our new dream, I don't mean to speak for Parker, but where we've netted out so far in our fiscal year brainstorming is we want to really dive more into the public speaking. And that's what brings us a lot of joy and fulfillment. And so it's always interesting as we talk with entrepreneurs that take a leap of faith because they were, to your point, good at that one thing. And now all of a sudden they're CEOs. Do they like being the CEO, or do they want to get back to what they really originally loved? And so there's a really good book on that, by the way, that I have to recommend called E-Myth. I don't know if you've read it yet, Christy, but I highly recommend it. Parker and I will send a gift copy to you, in fact. Okay. We're not sponsored by them. It's just a book I read. I don't even know if Parker's read it. It's all about the myth of being an entrepreneur. And to your point, and I think your clients will relate to this, the whole story follows a woman who has a pie shop and how she loved making pies. Her friends loved her pies, so she opened a pie shop, and then she realized she spends no time making pies anymore, and how to get back to the joy of what she actually liked to do through operations. So highly recommend that. We will be sending one your way.
Love that.
I think one more point that I want to make off of what you said, Sam, too, is like, we do this podcasting. We've done 400 episodes. We are looking forward to continuing to build our public speaking business. But Sam and I are guys who are very interested in a lot of things, and we want to be involved in many different things that are bringing us fulfillment and also helping us make money to live our life. And so I was asking you, Christy, like, what does that dream life look like? Is it simply just focusing solely on this business, or is it, I actually like to do this too and this too? Because I do think there is a world where, to your point, you can do those things as well, right? Sam and I do want to podcast and meet really cool people. We do want to speak on stages and, influence people in big audiences. But also, Sam and I would love to possibly have a real estate little venture, or this thing or that thing, right? And you can do all of that, but it really goes to show that you got to focus and do and stack as you go. And that's what we've learned has been like so important to building your own business. Yeah.
And I think for me, what I've learned about myself is like, it's easy for me to get overwhelmed with a lot of things. Like, I look to people who are running multiple businesses and I'm like, I don't understand how. I don't know how you're doing it all. I would rather focus on doing one thing really well. For me, being such like a numbers and math person, I'm always running like, okay, how can I get predictable income to cover what I need? And then I can focus on, the other things that I love. For me, the number one thing is being flexible in my business and letting that, look like what it needs to. I recently met with my ops manager and she was like, you have, X number, I can't remember what the number was, of meetings a month that I need to schedule. You told me you only wanted, meetings on these days. That's not working anymore. And so we had to go back to some clients and say, hey, okay, you have the option to either you're going to pay more for meetings, or we can reduce your service. And for me, that was reducing the number of dedicated meetings I had, because I wanted the ability to, be flexible if something pops up, if, I have a very time-consuming hobby of riding horses. And so that is just, I want to be able to do that. And so for me, it's having the flexibility to pursue what I enjoy while also, making money to fund that.
That's the exact point right there, is that you are leading your life with your life first, and the business is fulfilling that. And I love that. Whereas other people that we've talked to, or people that you see on social media, it's business, work.
Really over that. I'm like, right? I see a post and I'm like, are you for real? Like, come on.
That's not the point. That is not the point. I respect the hell out of people who are saying, no, this thing called work is giving me the avenue to live the life I want to live, not the other way around.
I made a post the other day, and it was a little controversial for some people. I was like, some of you have lost the plot. Self-employed work is still work. It's fine if you don't love everything you do. I mean, yes, I hope for every single one of you to have absolute passion for what you do, but also it's a job. And it's going to be okay if it's not your favorite thing in the world. And I think my kind of turn of my whole career and deciding this is how I wanted my career path to go was, when I was in the Big Four, and I had truly never had a slow time in my career. I came in fall busy season, I went through spring busy season, and we got to summer. And I remember like getting off work at 6 o'clock. It wasn't even early, like 6 o'clock on a Thursday. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do with myself. And I think I just went to like a dog park, like something so basic. And I was like, wait a minute. I enjoy, and I just never been exposed to being able to have hobbies and doing things. And the minute that opened up, we went back into fall busy season, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is not what I work so hard to do. It's also a conversation I've been having with people lately is, as I get more and more in my life and I start getting older, I want to be able to have the time of being in, prime health and prime condition to like do these things I enjoy. I just said my hobby is horse riding. I'm not gonna be able to do that when I'm retired. So I don't necessarily need to save all this money, when I'm retired and not get to do the things I love. And I think that was a big wake up call for me.
I don't know what to call all of that wisdom, but like we need to bottle that up and package it and give it to someone. And I think there's also stages of it. You were in Big Four and saw that world. And I know we all have worked or work with people who, like, whatever corporation you're at, make the corporation their life. They bleed that brand color. They want to work as hard as they can. And I think it's a lot of these type A, good grades people, like we probably all were, that go, well, I have to do a good job. What
B plus, dog.
Yeah, I know, Parker. Right below there. Parker got it earlier than us. But, like, I was always like, how great can I do? And you go into this corporate world and you think that company still like equates to your value and your self-worth, and so you work as hard as you can. And then at some point, and Christy, it sounded like a simple dog park kind of snapped you out of it, of like, wait, why am I grinding so hard for someone else? At least if I'm gonna grind, let me grind for myself. And then to your point, don't always just grind for yourself. Like, now figure out where in life you want to be happy and maybe turn up and down some dials. And so I love that wisdom right there.
And I think there's also the concept, and every business owner I think struggles with this. I struggle with this all the time. It's like, what is enough? Am I making enough money? Am I doing enough? Am I preparing myself? Do I have enough that I'm putting away for savings? As a business owner, the biggest blessing you have is to be able to turn on that dial and make more money. But I think it's also the biggest curse, because you can do it at any time. So I'm always like, well, why shouldn't I be doing that right now? Because I have the ability. And it's so hard, especially for, you said, type A people who do start to, do this. You're like, but I could. So does that mean I should be right now?
It's literally, I'm so bad at it. I am so bad at it. I relate so much, where even like I'm thinking about my evening. All right, I'm going to be done with work. What should I do to be productive? Like, I feel like I should have done more today. Should I read? Should I make TikToks? What kind of stuff should I do to progress the business? And so I actually posted a funny TikTok, and I'll leave it at this, but I pretty much was just talking smack to Parker, because typically I'm the one that is always trying to work and be more efficient. And Parker, we took the week off, 4th of July, Big Four company was off. We said Elevation Nation's going to be off too. And Parker was sitting at the beach. That's where he does his brainstorming, coming up with some ideas, reading these tweets, sending them to me. And I had to put my foot down and say, Parker, we're not working this week. So I'm making progress. I'm proud of myself. We're getting there. Slowly but surely, I'm learning to relax. It's not easy.
Hey, working and thinking are two different things. It's not like we're shutting our brains off.
That's
just
fair.
saying.
I guess so. All right, Christy, I want to move us to our rapid fire section. Parker's in his Texas feels right now. So we got to talk a little bit of food, something Parker and I love a ton. You're down in Houston. You've been in Dallas. Where are some of your favorite food spots in Texas? So when Parker takes his next trip based on the TV show he's watching, he has some spots to go.
Honestly, just Texas Tex-Mex, margaritas, chips and queso. That's pretty much anywhere. That's where you're going to find me at all times.
I love it.
I think the part of the show takes place in Fort Worth. But then there was like really small towns in Texas, and I'm like, damn, this is bringing me back to my San Antonio days when we would go and drive out, and that's a whole nother conversation for another day. Love Tex-Mex though. All right, Christy, I imagine that you've read a lot of tax books and accounting books. I'm not going to ask you for any recommendations on tax or accounting books. That's not my thing by any means. I could probably go walk around this office right now and find a couple of those. But do you have a recommendation for Elevation Nation on a book that might help them elevate their mindset a little bit?
This is going to be terrible and you guys are going to hate me, but I actually don't read like entrepreneurship books very much because my biggest thing is, like we just talked about, I can't get away from work. So I'm in a book club and we read like 4 fun books, and those are like 90% of my books. I'm sure early in my business days I did read some.
Doesn't have to be a business book. It could be any book. What's your recommendation for us?
Gosh, hold on. Please hold. I'm going to pull up my Goodreads.
As you should.
I literally, Parker, I get all his notifications. That's how we do it. I get it.
You know, what I really want to read, my next to read, I haven't read this yet. The Remarkably Bright Creatures. Have you guys read that? No. I really want to read that. Apparently it's from the perspective of an octopus, so I'm very intrigued by it.
That is very interesting. Okay.
Well, it signed me out because I recently got a new phone, but that's the one that I'm thinking of right now. But yeah, I am in a book club and we read, some fun, some historical fiction. We recently read The Nightingale, which I know is really big right now. So yeah, that's really my book experience.
Okay, well then we can't send you as a thank you gift an entrepreneurship book. That's a swing and a miss. Let me we're gonna find a better nighttime read.
You can, and I will read it, but what I'm saying is when I sit in front of my Kindle, I don't.
Fair enough. Okay, we're going to find a better book for you. Don't worry. I like autobiographies and nonfiction stories that read like fiction. So I just read Bad Blood. Maybe we'll get you that one.
Ooh. Have you guys read The Devil in the White City? I love that book. It was apparently Martin Scorsese bought the movie rights to it. I don't know if it's actually anything's going to come of it, but it's a genre called true crime, I think. And it's like real stories, but told in like a storytelling way. So it's the story of like the World's Fair and like the murders that took place there. But it's from the perspective of like a historical, like it's all true, but they can't call it historical because it's told as a story. I don't really know, but that's a cool one that I read.
I like that. That's my vibe too. I like those true crime podcasts for road trips.
Yes.
Those are the best. All right, Christy, our last and final question for you. Every single elevator that has joined Elevation Nation, whether they've come on the podcast or we've spoken to them around the globe, they are all united by one thing, and that is their mental motto, a phrase that embodies who they are and how they live their life. And so we want to know what your mental motto is.
I feel like I shared mine earlier, but mine is, the concept of you can do anything you want. It just has to be informed. And, I really don't care if my clients were like, I want to shut down my whole business or, let go of my most profitable offering. Be like, great. As long as you understand what that's going to do to you, I'm here for it. So that's, you can do whatever you want. You just have to know what you're doing.
It's a beautiful answer.
Love that.
So grateful that we got to welcome you into Elevation Nation and connect with you today. And even more grateful that you're making more time to do things like this, because I think you're an incredible entrepreneur with a great story and a remarkable mindset. And we're just so grateful that we get to welcome you into our world now. And hopefully this is just the beginning. We will be your clients one day. I know that. We're going to be big enough.
Yes. And if anybody, I am going to shout this out because I said I want more digital products. I do have an offering that is like a free downloadable checklist of, it's called Financial Focus. If anybody uses ClickUp or Asana or spreadsheets and you are an entrepreneur, basically you can just download this and import it into your project management software. And it has a bunch, I can't promise it'll be everyone for your business, but a bunch of financial reminders as well as dates about when those are due. So it's going to say, your 1040 is due April 15th, your 1120S is due March 15th, your quarterly tax payments, all of that. It's going to have all those reminders, and as well as a little bit of slots for, hey, go research whatever state you're in and when that's due. So I just do want to point that out for anybody who is interested.
And we will link to that in the bio. And yeah, Christy, thank you for all that you do for young entrepreneurs. We are so grateful for you.
Yes, thank you for your time as well.
Go Aggies.
Gig 'em.
All right.
I got my ring. Gig 'em.
I love it.